So I know I said I don't trust Ridley Scott. He's had a bunch of flops. But I've said it before a couple different times. I think the Napoleon movie is going to be absolutely fantastic. But of course, the mainstream media, woke media today, and the weirdos on the left can't stand to see a man succeed in anything unless a woman's involved in leading the charge. We're seeing Napoleon get attacked over his character, and he's not that really great, and it should have been a woman. We've got Denzel Washington being cast as Hannibal for a Netflix series. Now, there are a bunch of good arguments that Hannibal wasn't quite black, or that he could have been white, or we'll just say Mediterranean, because in all likelihood, that's what he was. But they're casting Denzel Washington for it. So I'm going to go over a couple different articles here, talk about some brief history, talk about this race swapping and rewriting history, this revisionist history, and how I hate it all. But guys, before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, do all the follow thingies so I can grift something. I don't know. Terrible at grifting myself. I'm just here to make videos and have a good time. So let's get into it. Here, from the Telegraph. Well, there's the problem there. They're still upset they got their ass kicked by France. France, with a history of losing, manages to kick the British's ass a couple different times. I guess they're still salty about it. Why we're still in love with the idea that great men shape history. The theory that history is defined by alpha males feels unfashionable and offensive, but Ridley Scott's Napoleon proves we can't let it go. It's because it's God's honest truth. You look back at history, and any woman who's ruled, sure, they've done some decent things for their countries, but in terms of if you want to build your nation, you need men. You need strong men. No woman has ever done that. No group of women has ever done that. This month, Ridley Scott will release his epic biopic of Napoleon. As a study of power and ambition, Napoleon, the archetypal great man of history, has fascinated many directors, not least Abel Gance, whose silent film of 1927 is often cited as the finest cinematic work ever made. But with the academic tide turned so strongly against the great man school of history, you might struggle to find historians today willing to humor such a heroic narrative. It's because they're all beta cucks and they're jealous that he actually did shit. No man is without flaws. No woman is without flaws. That's the reality of it. That's why men step up to the fucking plate regardless of their flaws and overcome that. What we see out of women, especially today, is how much it's everybody else's fault and we have to prop them up and we can't say they have flaws. And that's why this shit pisses me off. Because of his meteoric rise to command most of Europe, Napoleon became an exemplar of the great man theory, a concept much in vogue during the 19th century, which saw history as largely shaped by powerful individuals. In 1841, the British essayist Thomas Carlyle even claimed that history of the world is but the biography of great men. It's because there were no great women. That's the reality of it. There were no great women. You take any woman you think was great and you put her up against Napoleon. You put her up against Caesar. Hell, you put her up against Hannibal. You put him up against Scipio. God, fucking brain fart on that one. Put him up against Alexander. Fuck, put him up against the declining Spartans, not when they were at their prime. They all lose. So after his death in 1821, many hailed him as a hero because he kind of was. He was often portrayed as a modernizer at the time, and his reactionary holy alliance between Russia, Prussia, and Austria and France, he was widely seen as a secular saint. Yeah, the dude did amazing shit. I know everybody likes to shit on him for invading Russia in the winter, but in reality, that's not what caused him to lose. That's not at all what happened. This man was doing something nobody at the time was doing. He was leading his army ahead of his supply lines and foraging for most of their supplies. He would beat enemies to the battlegrounds, set up and be deployed before they even got there, ready to brawl, while they're still staggering in, tired from walking, tired from marching, not having slept. And then his supply lines would catch up and he would go absolutely ham and ruin them. Nobody else was doing that. The reason he lost in Russia wasn't because it was winter. It's because Russia's always used the same tactic when they get invaded that he wasn't prepared for. They went scorched earth. When they would retreat, they would burn farms and houses, kill people, kill their own citizens. The same thing they always do, right? It's nothing new. So when Napoleon got there, when he was riding ahead of his supply lines, they didn't have food. So it's a combination of the two. It's not just winter that he got bogged down in snow and didn't know about mud. He literally just wasn't, his tactic that was so well at defeating every other major army just didn't work in Russia. That's all it was. Anywho, done with my history lesson. Others were unconvinced, considered him instead to be a megalomaniac who inflicted misery across Europe. Tolstoy flew into a rage, went on a visit to Les Invalides, fucking French, Napoleon's final resting place. He saw that the triumphs engraved on the sarcophagus claimed Borodino as a French victory, even though the battle had left his grand army mortally wounded. Look, a victory is a victory. But leave it to the commies to try and break down any man. Bastards. All right, where the fuck was I? This experience surely led Tolstoy to what he described in 1869's War and Peace as the law of casual coincidence, the massive factors which brought Napoleon to the decision to invade Russia. Even a king, Tolstoy argued, is history's slave. Sigmund Freud, yeah, all these, okay, yeah. It's just them nitpicking everything to destroy a man. But yeah, no, Napoleon was absolutely fantastic. The man was obviously insane. Any great ruler is going to be insane. Anybody who is extremely good and builds something incredible has significant character flaws. Because your average dude isn't going to take control of countries, wage war, create an empire. Like, no average dude's doing that. And we go over here. Denzel Washington, Hannibal on Netflix. Know about the expected release window. I don't care about the release window. The fact of the matter is, Hannibal was, I don't want to say a military genius. He was a tactical genius. The dude could absolutely win battles. Absolutely. 100%. He had Rome on its heels, but he couldn't win a war. He had Rome on its heels. He was at Rome's gate. Rome couldn't do anything to stop him, and he still couldn't take Rome. I would argue he was scared to take Rome. But of course, they got to race swap him with Denzel Washington. I mean, it's Denzel. It might be fire. It's probably going to be fire, but it doesn't change the fact. Like, Carthaginians weren't this homogenous, idealistic, left-wing, all of them are exactly the same. Spain, all over the Mediterranean, they had an empire. They were all intermingled. Like this, it's revisionist history, and I absolutely hate it. But I mean, at this point, with all the evidence we have, you can't say it's a conspiracy that the powers that be in entertainment are not just trying to break down men and destroy men so they can rule the country. Like, why would you need to revise history? Why would you need to do any of it? Shit, even in fucking middle school, like, sure, the history book said he did amazing things, but they also talked about how shit he was, right? Because even the past article referenced how much the old guard in the 1800s and early 1900s were like, yeah, Napoleon did amazing things, but he had a lot of character flaws. But now they're like, well, we can't say he did amazing things because he had character flaws. It's entirely about destroying men and replacing them with some beta cuck, race swap, gender swap, Trunstein Jenga person, transjenga person. It's stupid. But that's probably why a lot of like Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie. Because as far as I've seen in the trailers, it looks like he does some badass shit. And a lot of it's exaggerated, I can already tell. But it is what he did. I guess this kind of went on a political rant. Normally I do entertainment, but it all seems intertwined on this one. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go see Napoleon. I'm probably not going to see Hannibal. I have no desire to. But I want to hear in the comments section. Do you think I was wrong about anything I said? Are you going to see either of these movies or show? Let me know in the comments section while you're there. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this one out. But until the next one, guys, be easy like sleazy.